Hello, this is Paranormal Girl, and today I'm going to talk about the monster in Greek mythology called the Hydra. The Hydra is an immortal, many-headed snake who haunted the swamps around Lake Lerna in ancient Greece. Although the monster claimed hundreds of victims, it's most famous for its battle with the hero Hercules. So let's have a look at the physical description of the Hydra. The Hydra was literally multiple times more ferocious than its closest relative, the snake. Not only was it a swamp-dwelling monster larger than any known snake, it had somehow between 6 and 100 heads. Each of the Hydra's head was supported by a long neck, so the heads could coil around each other or fan out and attack challengers from every angle. Eventually, all those necks welded together into a fat tail, which trailed along the ground behind the monster. Some show the tail forking at the end into 2 or more small tails. Its personality. The Hydra had a nasty personality to match its horrid appearance. From birth, the goddess Hera trained the monster to attack and destroy anything that fell beneath its gaze. It ravaged innocent villages around its home like Lake Lerna, devouring hundreds of victims. When Hydra wasn't filling its stomach with human flesh, it slumbered in a deep swamp cave, which was rumoured to be one of the entrances to the underworld. Only hunger or rage could draw the beast out of its lair. Otherwise, it was mindless and lazy. So what was its special abilities? It's no mistake that Hera chose Hydra as one of Hercules' 11 tasks. This monster had powers that could easily send a hero to the underworld. First, the Hydra's blood was full of super toxic poison. Some men died simply from approaching the beast's lair and smelling its poisonous blood and breath. Even after the Hydra was slaughtered, its blood was used as a weapon that brought down many strong fighters. Second, the Hydra was immortal and had regenerative abilities. The monster had one immortal head, which was protected by the other deadly heads that grew around it. If any of the immortal heads were cut off, 2 or more heads would sprout from the monster's body to replace the loss. The beast could only be killed by cutting off the immortal head, a near impossible task. The Hydra was the offspring of Greece's 2 earliest monsters, Typhon, an immortal giant, and Echidna, a half-woman and half-snake. Together they gave Hydra its immortality, monstrous shape, and evil disposition. Hera, wife of Zeus, adopted the Hydra when it was a baby. She raised the creature with the intent of using it to destroy Hercules, finding a home for it, protecting it from harm, and nurturing its destructive impulses. When Hercules finally encountered the Hydra, all Hera's training was put to the test. The monster nearly killed the hero. He only managed to kill it with the help of a quick-witted nephew, Alonus. So let's look at the stories of Hercules versus the Hydra. Hercules was the son of Zeus, but he wasn't the son of Zeus's wife, Hera. Shortly after Hercules was born, Hera found out that Zeus's infidelity and demanded that he banish his son from Mount Olympus. Even when the punishment was enough for Hera, as she watched the golden boy grow into a young Greek hero, she grew angrier and angrier still. When an oracle told Hercules that to gain immortality he must complete 12 impossible tasks, Hera saw a golden opportunity to get rid of the boy once and for all. She adopted the Hydra and began training it to be one of Greece's most fearsome monsters, a monster that would be impossible to kill. Sure enough, slaying the Hydra became one of Hercules' 12 tasks, much to Hera's delight. Hercules entered the Lernaean swamp with his mouth and nose covered in thick fabric, so that he wouldn't breathe the monster's poisonous scent. He crept to the cave around the spring of Amymone, where the monster slept, and shot fiery arrows into it. After a few areas, the Hydra charged out of the cave, ready to tear its assailant to shreds. But Hercules was ready too. He began cutting off Hydra's heads as fast as he could. Though the monsters shrieked in pain, the injuries were far from life-threatening. In fact, they only made the Hydra stronger, as several new heads grew to replace each one that was lost. After a few minutes of bloody battle, Hercules realized that he could never defeat the Hydra alone. Desperate, he called to his nephew Iolaus, who brought a torch and began burning the bloody stumps as fast as Hercules cut off Hydra's head. The cauterized stumps prevented new heads from growing. When Hera saw that Hercules and Iolaus had found a new way to kill her monster, she was so angry that she sent a giant crab to distract Hercules. He crushed this under his foot. At last, Hercules hacked his way to the Hydra's lone immortal head. He cut this off with a golden sword given to him by Athena and buried it under a huge rock. Despite the fact that he had slaughtered the horrible Hydra, some people claimed that Hercules had not completed the task because he had asked Iolaus for help. The Hydra Avenged. After Hercules killed the Hydra, he dipped some of his arrows in the monster's toxic blood. He used these arrows to kill new enemies who didn't stand a chance against the poison. A centaur named Nessus was one of the enemies who Hercules killed with his poisonous arrows. As he lay dying, Nessus beckoned to Hercules' wife and told her that his blood spilled by her husband could be used as a love charm that would make her husband faithful to her for life. In fact, Nessus's blood was tainted with Hydra poison and became a deadly weapon itself. Not knowing this, Hercules' wife dipped his clothes in the blood and gave them to him to wear. As soon as the cloth touched Hercules' skin, the Hydra's poison began to burn his flesh. It burned until the hero was dead. Thus, in the end, the Hydra claimed Hercules' life in return for its own. In writing, the Hydra first appears in Hesiod's Theogony, which dates back to around 700 BCE. Paintings and pottery suggest that Hydra's legend might even be older than this, possibly rising from the Sumerian, Babylonian, and Assyrian religions. After Hesiod introduced the Hydra, it was embellished by the likes of Ovid, Seneca, Plato, and Virgil. Originally, the serpent had 6 heads, and none of them regenerated. But as the story grew in fame, the monster grew in horror. Today, the Hydra is not well known as a standalone character, but it's still the first monster that comes to mind when people think of Hercules and his trials. Interestingly, the Hydra, an unnatural creature, has made a name for itself in the natural sciences. In astronomy, constellations and technological tools have been named after the monster. And taxonomy, a new genus of tentacled sea creatures, bear the monster's name.